Welcome to my world.
Won't you come on in?
Listen to those birds screaming in pain.
It was an inconvenient bullet.
Inconvenient. It was not significant.
It was significant. It was an inconvenient.
Yeah. Be Werner Herzog.
Why would you want to be Werner Herzog?
Yeah. Why would you want to be Werner Herzog? Well, he went out and he did it.
Yeah.
He went out and he did it, and he found a way.
Mm-hmm.
And you might not like his films much. They might be a bit strange, but my God, does he capture culture that I never knew existed in the world.
I'm going to do a film where I eat my shoe.
Yeah, he's just doing anything. It's like, he said he would eat his shoe, but then it's like, I might as well make a film about it.
Yeah.
I like that.
Very enterprising.
He's casually cooking and eating the shoe.
Cooking and eating the shoe.
Xander Phillips, what is the best camera in the world?
Oof, I don't know. I like my Blackmagic cameras because I like the RAW. You like the Canons?
I think I like the Canons, yeah.
Which is why it's been in the frame for the last 2 films.
It's the only one we could find. So.
Yeah. Some people like the Red. Some people say if you want to make a film, you've got to shoot it on Red because otherwise Netflix won't like it. Is that your end goal? Why do you want it to be Netflix?
Because I don't even have Netflix.
Yeah, the best camera. I can't just say it's the one that you own, but it's kind of the one that you know how to use.
It's the one you own.
But what if they don't own a camera?
You have to go and get one.
Yeah. Or use your phone.
I don't know if I'd stoop that low.
You could download the Blackmagic camera app and use your phone.
If it really works for you, I don't like smartphones. But if it really works for you and you're one of those phone people, then I can't take it away from you because they do have really good quality picture. I wouldn't say their batteries are very good, but I'm sure somebody's found a way around that.
Yep.
The ergonomics and
stick a power bank in it.
Yeah, but a DSLR second-hand Canon 550D for like not even 100 quid on eBay
and that's what we shot the first film on.
Yeah, you could get a lot better than that now actually.
Yeah.
But for me, I like to have.
Didn't even have a rotating screen. We just had to go by
I
feel.
had to put the face in the dirt. I like to have several cameras that aren't massively expensive. I'm not saying that I wouldn't settle for a nice camera in the future, but
not that these are nice cameras. I think these are great.
But it's good to have different cameras for different jobs that don't cost much at all, because sometimes shooting a certain film has been dependent on the camera choice for its ergonomics and not its picture quality or anything like that. And it's the stuff like ergonomics and comfort and I hate the word workflow and all that stuff that actually ends up being the deciding factors.
I mean, the Blackmagic camera that I use, because it's all raw, just say we go up for a shoot and we use that camera. Even when we went up filming the content down at East Court.
Content!
It took me a good few hours just to upload the data.
Wow.
I've
never had to do that.
Something like this is done in like 15 minutes. 15-20 minutes and you're done. I would argue that this is actually the best camera.
There was a point where I would just go to sleep and I would just say to myself, it's the best camera in the world, C100 Mark II.
Yeah.
There are certain things I have found that I don't like about it. Am I allowed to talk about it?
Yeah, go for it. What don't you like about the camera?
Nearly everything about it for me is perfect. The features, the comfort, the weight and everything. The only thing, I like full frame, so obviously it's not full frame, but not many cameras are. I like full frame for the main reason that when you put vintage lenses on it, which we love, we love vintage lenses.
We'll talk about lenses.
You get the full characteristics of what that lens was intended to be like. You get all the edges and all the weird cool stuff. It's not cropped out. But the thing I really don't like is the quality, the bit rate. It does have a bit of smeg.
That's the technical term.
No, it's not. It's the English term.
The English term. The Red Dwarf term.
And if you sharpen it where colours meet each other, where colours meet other colours, sometimes
they kind of
it
blend.
You can't really sharpen it, and it's more prominent. It's good though. It's still good enough. I shot Life Neil Cloth on one. Did Ditched on it as well, and it's all fine.
I think that was the. No, it was the 100, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's done 2 films on that. Yeah. But that's the only thing I would change. But all the other stuff seems to outweigh that. For Wooden Horse, I used the 300 Mark I. Just because I wanted the extra quality and just because I had one for so long I never got to really use it for anything. But the other features of the 300 were a bit horrible. It didn't feel as good. The screen wasn't in the right place.
Bigger.
Didn't have its own
weightier.
microphone. Yeah, no slow motion. Just lots of these different little things. The boot up time's quite long.
Yeah.
And you can't see thumbnails on most operating systems of the footage. You can't play it in Player, so you have to load it in to see what it is. Just little things that made it all a little bit harder to use. But to be honest, you know, in the real world, I can't complain because it's still nothing compared to shooting in RAW and stuff like that, which is just, you know, crazy stuff. But no, the best camera is either the one you own or just, it really doesn't matter. They're all good. I would use Blackmagic. I just never had a chance. I just, you know, I like the colour in that. I never liked the idea of the ergonomics on the earlier models because they need a lot of rigging and battery. I did once own a little First Pocket, second-hand one. It happened to be snowing that day. Maybe that was a factor. Yeah, it probably was. And I remember we went for a test and with these old batteries, and this guy had like 12 batteries that he'd sold.
No.
Obviously because they were just dying. And we didn't even get 1 minute, and we were just it was just unusable. No warning, just gone. And
I mean, mine originally were like that, and I found out it was just bad batteries. Because they're like these little Nikon batteries. Yeah. Nikon, whatever you want to call them. But they didn't last long at all. And I ended up getting this little small rig pack to stick on the top, and then it just took one of those MPF batteries, and it was fine. So. Yeah,
but then you can't get to whatever's on the top of it.
Yeah. So then you got to find a way to put it somewhere else.
And then you end up with rails. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you end up with a big old.
No ND filter,
you know, no ND filters. The ND filters are all built in here. Yeah. You've pretty much got everything on here ready to go. I mean, we're a little bit biased towards the 100 Mark II. Is this live in the old cloth camera?
That is live in the old cloth camera. That's Donatello.
Donatello. Yeah, they're all named after the turtles. But yeah,
that's the one. But that's not the lens. That lens is a Sigma 30 1.4, and that lens is on my old stills camera, and all the posters of everything were taken pretty much with that lens, everything.
Okay. Is this the one with the little tiny scratch on the front?
No, I sold that.
Sold that?
Yeah, got rid of that. But you remember that? Wowzers.
I do remember that.
This is a lovely lens, but it was just getting a little bit worn out. Now I've replaced my stills camera with this, which is just a 5D Mark III, which there's a million videos that have been out for centuries about this camera with a Sigma R50 1.4. Really, really nice lens on it, and that 50 to me is pretty much replicating what the 30 was on the crop on the other one.
Yeah.
And mathematically this should be a narrower width, but actually I think it's a bit wider. So focal lengths aren't always focal lengths. There you go. There's different characteristics of focal lengths. And this is where I take all my stills now. Does
that shoot video as well? Or?
It does shoot video, but what's the point when you got these? Because I've seen comparison videos, and they say that C-series cameras are like shooting video on that, but a bit sharper and a bit better.
Fair enough.
So I literally have that for stills only, and it's just nice, beautiful stills, and I've always wanted that camera, and I don't need anything better than that now, apart from film cameras sometimes. Those are the only things I ever shoot stills on.
There's one thing I want to add very quickly when it comes to people saying, oh, it's going to be good, it's going to be for this, it's going to have to be shot on this camera. A lot of people don't care. Oh, but Netflix does this. You're probably not going to have it on Netflix.
Can you imagine you made the best movie in the world and you won all these bloody awards and everybody loved it, and you had like the king himself saying, you know, and then Netflix go, there's a problem, we've hacked into your footage and we've discovered that you use this camera, it's not on our list, I'm afraid. They're not going to do that because otherwise they wouldn't be streaming films that are made from years ago.
Yeah, it's like Friends. Like, Friends, you really think that was shot on a Red? No, it wasn't.
Can you imagine they had the Blair Witch Project on Netflix? That would be
hilarious.
But it doesn't matter. I think, I could be wrong here, I think that the camera list of Netflix
is for the studio.
It's for the studio, which will literally, you have to pitch it in the very beginning and you collaborate with them
kind of have
in the beginning.
Link with them.
Yeah, because they're like, we want it all 4K.
This is the bee's knees, we've got to colour grade it this way, we've got to make it look really weird.
I don't know,
I don't like the colour grading on a lot of these like Netflix home projects. I think Stranger Things was brilliant because it was all stylised, it was all 80s, there was lots of really deep red, I really like that. But I mean, there's a lot of films on there that just don't look like, I don't say they don't look like films, but they don't have the
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know about Netflix, but I would imagine that it's all Arri Alexas and stuff. And I'd imagine it's all the same creamy, sort of smooth but modern look that Hollywood films have. But what I've noticed, and I'm not saying it's a bad look at all, it's a great look, but it's every look, is that Hollywood films use all the dynamic range. And it is the Jeff Goldblum, it is the Ian Malcolm. Just because you should doesn't mean, just because you could doesn't mean you should. No. You can see all the detail in the blacks. You can see everything in the blacks, and you can see it rolling right off to the whites. The whites I get a little bit more, nice skies, but the blacks for me,
it's like it should be black. It should be black. Like black is black.
Yeah, and you can't have a face in the shadows. You can't have something where the light just catches it, because all the details there. And yes, it's great to have a camera that can capture that dynamic range because it gives you control later on. But does that really mean that you should be using? And it gets to a point where some of these things are so smooth that they look like they've been shot on a flat log profile.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is that the colour? It's like, oh, that's the colour, mate. That's it. Yeah, but it's you've got all the you have all the details there, and if you use everything that you've got, it ends up looking kind of flat again.
Yeah,
so I like stuff that punches.
I mean, the way I see it, every camera is just a sensor. It is just a data capturing device so that you can tell your story.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much all I really have to say on that.
We're very, very lucky to have digital DSLRs and these cameras here and stuff like that. We're and so phones. Lucky. Yeah, when you're struggling with VHS, you know, with your granddad's VHS camera that's going to go on to 2 VHS tapes because you can only have 2 because it's so expensive or whatever, and you can't edit unless you press the button and then wait for a delay on another VHS or in camera to... Yeah. You just can't do anything. It's just, in the old days we were kids, you just couldn't do anything. To be able to do this and then load it on the computer and then just go cut on the frame, cut, and just like, wow, can we put music? Yes. Oh, just put the music underneath it, adjust the volume, there we are. It's like, whoa, it's so lucky to have it. So that is where all the budget would have gone for our favourite filmmakers back when they shot on film.
Yeah.
Yeah, their budget would have gone on film stock, film development, maybe was it camera rental or some 16mm they might have bought. All that stuff is an inevitable cost. All of that, it's all gone now. That's all gone. To quote License to Drive.
Yeah.
It's all gone.
Yeah, your college fund, it's all gone now.
It's all gone.
Yeah.
You had all gone. But
good film.
Yeah, really good film. But you don't have that problem anymore, which means you're now just stuck with what direction, where do you point your camera, and who's going to sit there and do a dance in front of you and say some words. You're kind of at that point now. That's so lucky to do.
You can kind of experiment a bit more with it as well. Just say something's not working. It's not like, we've run out of film stock. It's like, oh, hang on, got another SD card in my pocket.
Oh yeah, and low light as well.
You can get SD cards from anywhere. You can go down to the petrol station and get an SD card.
Yeah, you know, the low light as well, you can literally just go under a street lamp and just make a street film on street lamps and stuff, or use these photography LED things that we all use.
Yeah.
None of this whole Wizard of Oz, you need a special tech there to be able to light everything. Everybody's almost on fire because of how hot it is, because the ISO is probably like 20 or something, ASA or whatever. So all of that's gone. You can point your camera anywhere, you can pretty much film at any point, day and night somehow, and just tell this story, and the quality is so much better than VHS and all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that for me, that might be my gratitude. I'm not trying to sound like, you know, there's a lot of people older than me, obviously there's a lot of people younger than me, but I have a lot of gratitude for that, because I struggled so much as a kid trying to make some kind of movie, you know, trying to make this terrible movie that it was just too difficult to do. It would be so easy to do it now, just unbelievably easy to do. It was terrible script, terrible film, but it would be so easy to do it now, and I'm really, really grateful for that. And you should be too. You know, you should be second-hand DSLRs. Wow.
Yeah.
And vintage lenses.
Vintage lenses. We can talk about vintage lenses. I might do a whole separate video on vintage lenses.
Yeah, we just brush over it now.
Just brush over vintage lenses. You can either have a really nice, pristine prime lens that everything is shot on, or you can go vintage.
Go vintage.
I like vintage, you like vintage.
I do, yeah.
And once you start collecting them, you will just never stop.
We'll talk about that in our next video. But for now, everybody,
be vigilant.
So I do.